Get out, you worthless nobody. We don't want some ignorant parasite dragging this family down. That's exactly what my father roared at me, veins pulsing at his temples, voice shredding the air as he jabbed his finger at the front door like I was some disease to be kicked out. My mother stood rigidly behind him, arms folded tight, nodding along, not a flicker of doubt or pity in her cold stare. My name is Alyssa, and wherever you're hearing this from, stay with me for a minute. Has your own flesh and blood ever stomped on your ambitions, only to come crawling back when you turn the impossible into their only lifeline? It was meant to be an ordinary dinner, just me dropping by my childhood house in Denver after months away. Simple check-in. But within 10 minutes, it turned into a firing squad. I was still wearing my workout leggings and sneakers, talking about the companies I was scaling, the property deals I just secured, the new software partnerships lined up. They didn't want to hear it. You never even bothered to get your degree, my dad spat. You still sit around in coffee shops like some shady drifter, my mom sneered. Then came the dagger that seared into my chest. You're faking success. You'll be back here begging when your pipe dream collapses. I looked at their smug faces, at the living room walls I once repainted myself, and I felt absolutely nothing except pure clarity. I stood, pushed my chair back neatly, picked up my tote and car keys and simply said, "Sure." They laughed behind my back as I walked out. What they didn't realize was that their so-called clueless dropout had just finalized an $8.1 million contract that same morning. That the cafe bum they mocked owned controlling interest in a blockchain startup now valued at $230 million. I wasn't leaving in disgrace. I was leaving in peace, headed straight back to my ocean view villa in Malibu, where the waves have always been kinder than my parents ever were. 3 weeks later, their number popped up. Not to say sorry, but because their accounts were frozen. Because the retirement nest egg they'd bragged about for years turned out to be a fraud. Because the bank was days away from seizing their house. Suddenly, the worthless child they threw out sounded a lot like salvation. But I don't answer every knock. Not when the last time they saw me, they slammed the door in my face. The first missed call came on a Wednesday. Hidden caller straight to voicemail. Then 2 more. By Saturday night, there were 19 missed calls, all from my mother, the same woman who once called me her biggest mistake. Her messages now started with, "Alyssa, darling, please call us," and ended with, "It's urgent, we need your help." I didn't pick up. I was too busy watching dawn break from my pool deck, coffee poured by my live-in cook, scanning through the 4th acquisition proposal from a top venture fund desperate to buy into my latest tech rollout. Life goes quiet when you mute the ones who only clapped while you were crawling. Then they turned up at my building without notice. I was on my way home from Pilates when the concierge rang. "Ms. Hayes, there's an elderly couple in the lobby. They claim to be your parents." I paused, then laughed softly. "Tell them I'm unavailable. And remind them this residence does not accept unregistered visitors." 10 minutes later I checked the lobby cameras. There was my father pacing, my mother dabbing fake tears she didn't deserve. Both glancing around, finally grasping how far down they'd tossed me. How high I'd climbed without them. Back when I quit college, they called the whole family together, without me, to declare I was a disgrace, a failure working for a scam blog, living off scraps. Now, they're locked out of everything they thought they owned. And I'm exactly where they swore I'd never be. What I was really doing all those years. Crafting a financial algorithm that now drives one of the fastest growing credit unions in the Southeast. Around the office, my team jokingly calls me the billionaire in sneakers. I just call it freedom. Freedom from their labels, freedom from guilt, freedom from ever having to beg the same people who once laughed in my face to now respect what they never did. That night, my father sent one final message. "We're in trouble. We need your help. Just a small loan until we get back on our feet." I read it once, then again, then typed back just 3 words. I thought I was trash. Delivered. Read. No response. Because when you toss someone out like garbage, you don't get to show up 3 weeks later begging at their mansion door for gold. The silence after my reply lasted 3 entire days. No more calls, no more voicemails pretending they were sorry. Just a heavy hush that sinks in when people finally stare at the truth they spent years dodging. But I wasn't sitting by the phone. I was too occupied finalizing another funding round with 2 top Silicon Valley backers and a private equity group in Dubai. Too focused on scanning blueprints for my second home in Miami. Too busy living the life they once swore I'd never earn without a degree or their blessing. Then, on the 4th day, my sister rang. We hadn't spoken for over a year. Not since she snickered over Thanksgiving dinner about my internet money, while sipping wine I'd paid for. "Alyssa," she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "They're not well. Dad's had panic attacks. Mom won't eat. I think they finally get it. They pushed you too far." I didn't say a word. She kept going. "Look, I'm not asking you to forget everything. Just help them keep their heads above water. They're terrified." When I finally spoke, my tone was calm. "Do you remember what Mom called me? What Dad screamed at me that night?" She fell quiet, then murmured, "Yes." "Then answer this for me. If they hadn't lost everything, would they have ever called?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. We both knew the truth. They didn't miss me, they missed what I used to do. Cover their debts, fix their messes, show up with gifts after being told I was worthless. But that version of me doesn't exist anymore. In her place is a woman who wears peace like armor and never explains her worth to those who can't spell respect. Later that evening, I drafted an email. Polite, direct, final. "I'm genuinely sorry for your hardships. But this is the same life you mocked me for creating. I will not finance comfort for people who chose cruelty when kindness would have cost them nothing. I wish you healing, but from afar. Alyssa." I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate. I just hit send. Because closure doesn't always come wrapped in apologies. Sometimes it's you refusing to go backward, no matter how wide they swing the door open. By the next weekend, the press caught wind of my story. Not the family drama, but the empire. A feature ran in a major business publication. From college dropout to fintech mogul. How Alyssa Hayes built a $60 million fortune solo. There was a photo too. Me on my Malibu balcony, barefoot, hair blowing in the ocean breeze, mug in hand that read "Self-Made." The article went viral overnight. Old classmates slid into my inbox. Ex-bosses who once doubted me suddenly wanted lunch. Even 2 exes texted like they'd always believed in me. And yes, my parents saw it. My sister screenshotted their family chat. "Mom. She's humiliating us for the world to see. Dad. She's always loved attention. Always a show-off." And just like that, even after all their poison, even while the world applauded the daughter they discarded, they couldn't manage one word. Proud. But I didn't crave it anymore. I didn't need their praise, because I validate myself. That Sunday I hosted a small dinner, just 10 people. The investors who believed when no one else did, the friends who stayed when my own family shut me out. We raised glasses to building something honest, to outgrowing the boxes we were shoved into, to surviving the shame so many daughters carry for thriving without permission. When sunset dyed the sky pink, someone asked, "Alyssa, will you ever forgive them?" I paused. Not because I didn't know the answer, but because it deserved to be said clearly. I already have. But forgiveness doesn't mean access. Everyone nodded. They understood. Forgiveness is mine to offer, but entry back into my world is not. That night, another message pinged in from a blocked number. "We saw the article. Can we visit you?" I didn't bother replying. They didn't want me. They wanted to stand beside the success they spat on for years. And there's no room at my table for anyone who laughed while I laid the foundation. Monday morning my attorney called. "Alyssa, your parents' financial advisor reached out. They're asking if you'd consider a short-term loan to cover overdue property taxes. They're nearly half a year behind." I let the silence hang for a moment, then answered calmly. "Tell them my terms. Strictly business." He actually let out a short laugh first, convinced I was joking. But when it sank in that I wasn't, his voice turned stiff. "Understood," he said, because at this point it wasn't family business anymore. It was just business. And they'd made it crystal clear years ago. that when I wasn't respected as a daughter, I shouldn't give my loyalty like one. I wasn't bitter. I was exact, the same precision they used when they labeled me uneducated trash, the same certainty my father wielded when he barked, "Get out." Now, that door was sealed shut, the welcome mat gone, and the threshold guarded by the very worth they once mocked. That week they switched tactics. My aunt called. "Alyssa, sweetheart, you know they didn't mean it. They're just old-fashioned, you know how they are." But I did know. I remembered every side comment, every slight. Every look of quiet disgust when I refused to crawl back to college. The scoffs when I said I was building code from my bedroom. I remember Dad laughing with the neighbor, telling him I did internet junk. Probably a glorified receptionist, he said. That receptionist now owned 2 companies, 12 rental properties, and 4 registered trademarks. The so-called garbage they threw out now had trash cans worth more than their entire mortgage. Still, I told my aunt kindly but firmly, I forgave them long ago, but I don't owe them upkeep. And there it was, the line they never wanted drawn. They always mistook access for affection. They thought being family entitled them to my success, even after giving me nothing but shame. But support from me isn't free, it's earned. And they never made the investment. Meanwhile, I made one on my second beach property in Destin. Fully paid for, oceanfront, beautifully furnished in cash. Because while they clutched pride like a trophy, I bought peace instead. And peace never hurls insults at you. It opens the door gently, but only for the person strong enough to buy it outright. By Friday, their desperation took on a different shape. A padded envelope arrived, no sender, but I knew that handwriting right away. My mother's soft, looping script, always too large. It began, "Alyssa, we know we hurt you. We only wanted the best for you." Then it drifted quickly into excuses and half-regrets. "We were frightened. We didn't understand. You used to need us. We weren't ready to need you back. Can't we begin again?" Not a word about what they actually said to me. No true ownership of the cruelty. Just nostalgia wrapped in gentle guilt. At the bottom, a single revealing line. "We'd love to see the beach house." Course. Because it was never about seeing me. It was about standing close to what they never believed I could build. I folded the letter in half. Then again, and fed it straight into the shredder. Because here's the truth they never grasped. You don't get to exile your own child and then request a tour of the palace she crafted from your rejection. They had a daughter, smart, loyal, quietly fierce, and tossed her aside like scraps because she didn't tick their boxes. Now she was listed on Forbes 40 under 40, and suddenly they rediscovered her name. But I wasn't the desperate Alyssa anymore. I was Alyssa, the gatekeeper. And my answer was final. No tours, no visits, no redo. Instead, I called my assistant. "Book the photo shoot at the new Destin house. Coastal vibe, sunset shots, simple but striking. And tell the editor. Yes, I'll give the full cover story. If they wanted to see me now, they'd see me from afar. No groveling, no hidden stage play. Just the raw truth, wrapped in soft linen and open glass walls. And when they squint at those images, when they squirm at the world they never imagined I'd build, they won't just see dollars and beachfront views. They'll see the daughter who could have carried them all, if they'd ever bothered to lift her up instead of tear her down." The magazine hit shelves on a Tuesday. Full front cover. Me barefoot on the marble terrace of my Malibu escape, hair tousled by the ocean wind, a serene smile they couldn't dent anymore. The headline read, "She was told she'd fail. Now she screens her calls." Inside, a 6-page spread, not spun into a sob story, but presented exactly as it was. A daughter dismissed for choosing her own way, now CEO of a multi-million-dollar portfolio. No diploma. No apology. Just undeniable results. Within 2 days, every old neighbor, every church friend, every ex-colleague of my parents had read it. I know because my cousin sent me a screenshot. "Dad, I'm sick of people treating her like some hero. She betrayed us." But I didn't need him to think I was a hero. I didn't need him to think anything at all. Because the only approval I ever needed, I gave to myself. And that can't be repossessed. No, Dad, I didn't betray you. You gave up on me and I survived anyway. That's not betrayal, that's transformation. By Friday, another envelope showed up. No flowery paragraphs this time. Just a plain sentence. We realize now we were wrong. If there's still space for us in your life, we'd be thankful. Mom and Dad. I sat with it for hours. Once upon a time I would have broken down at those words, dialed their number, eager to fix everything, desperate to finally be enough. But that girl doesn't live in this house anymore. I no longer crave approval from people who never truly saw me. So I wrote back, not to reopen a door, but to close it, firmly and kindly. Dear Mom and Dad, you showed me exactly what it feels like to be unwanted, what it means to be thrown away. Because of that, you also taught me to build something so strong no one could ever take it away. Forgive you. But forgiveness is not an invitation. You will not be part of this chapter. You tore out every page that could have included you. I wish you healing, sincerely, but only from the distance you chose. Alyssa. No flourish. No sign-off. Just finality, honest, clean, deserved. Because blood may bind people by birth, but true family is built on loyalty, on truth, on applause when you stand tall, even if you stood up alone. It's been 6 months now. Half a year since they called me worthless, since I left that Denver house with nothing but my bag, a quiet okay, and a backbone they never believed I possessed. In these 6 months I've launched 2 more companies, funded 5 startups run by fierce women, and set up a scholarship for girls like me. Brilliant but overlooked, always told to sit at the edge of someone else's table. Most mornings I wake up to ocean waves and calm. The same peace they once tried to crush. The requests are gone now. No more letters, no more pity voicemails. Only silence. But that silence, it doesn't sting anymore, it sings. Because I stopped running after a love that had strings attached. Their love came with rules. Stay obedient, stay small, never surpass them. I broke those rules. I rewrote every line. And now I don't need a seat at their table. I've designed my own hall, all high ceilings, bright windows, and space only for the ones who clapped for me long before the spotlight. People still ask sometimes, do you regret cutting them off? Do you ever feel lonely? My answer is simple. Loneliness is living under a roof where your voice is nothing. Peace is waking up in a home you built yourself, where every corner says, you did this. So no, I don't regret walking away. They thought tossing me out would break me. They had no clue it was the very thing that would set me free. And if they ever drive past this quiet fortress, this sunlit sanctuary built on my own terms, they'll see it all. That the daughter they once dismissed as nothing turned out to be the architect of everything they needed, and everything they will never hold again. From Alyssa's story we clearly see one truth. Sometimes the people closest to us become the biggest obstacles on the path to proving our worth. They may deny us, belittle us, or even cast us out, but if we stay determined, we can turn that pain into fuel and build a life no one can take away. Alyssa chose silence, success, and forgiveness, but she refused to let the past control her present. She teaches us that freedom and peace are the most precious gifts we can give ourselves. What do you think about Alyssa's journey and the choices she made? Would you have done the same? Share your thoughts below and let's discuss it together. Don't forget to follow this channel for more powerful real-life stories about family, resilience, and finding your own freedom.